Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'm gonna explore whether any ethical theory can justify cult behavior, focusing on the case of Heaven's Gate in San Diego, a very famous case of cultism. This cult became famous in 1997 when 39 members died in a mass suicide. Our goal in this presentation is threefold. First, to explain the background of the cult. Second, to analyze recruitment methods and the ethical dilemmas they create. And third, to apply ethical theories to evaluate whether cult behavior can ever be justified. By the end, we will show that most ethical frameworks reject cult manipulation. This introduction sets the stage for our discussion and clarifies what we hope to accomplish. Thank you for your time, and I hope you all enjoyed the presentation. The article we studied asks whether goals can ever be justified ethically. It highlights two key ideas: manipulation and consent. Manipulation means influencing someone unfairly, often without their awareness, while consent asks whether agreement is truly free or is shaped by pressure. These terms are crucial because they frame the ethical dilemma. If people are manipulated, can their consent be valid? The article presents cults as organizations that change freedom of choice, making them an ideal case of study for ethical analysis. This background helps us understand why Heaven's Gate is not just a tragic story, but also a philosophical problem. Continuing with the presentation, I'm giving to you all some context about this infamous cult. Heavengate was founded in the 1970s by Martian Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles. They combined Christian ideas with science fiction, teaching that human bodies were temporary containers and the salvation means leaving them behind. In 1997, 39 members died in a mass suicide in San Diego, believing they would ascend to a higher level of existence aboard the spaceship following the Hale-Bopp comet. This event shocked the world and raised questions about authority, belief system, and vulnerability. Applewhite's authority was absolute, and vulnerable individuals searching for meaning were drawn in. This background shows how cults exploit human needs for belonging and purpose. Heavengate recruit by offering belonging and meaning. People who felt lost or isolated were given attention, emotional support, and promises of purpose. Beliefs were introduced gradually, making them easier to accept. This grooming process targeted vulnerable individuals, those seeking identity or community. The ethical issue here is clear. When people are influenced in such a way, their ability to make free choices is compromised, even if they agreed. The agreement was shaped by manipulation and isolation. Recruitment was not about free choice, but about control disguised as care. The dilemma is whether it is ethical to control people choose through manipulation. Cult members may appear to consent, but was that consent truly informed? If someone is pressured isolated and room, the agreement loses ethical validity. This raises questions about autonomy, the right to make free decisions, and whether cult leaders violate that right. The case of Heaven's Gate forced us to ask, does voluntary participation matter if the environment is full of pressure? This dilemma is central to our analysis because it changed the very meaning of freedom. Utilitarianism evaluates action based on consequences, and Heaven's Gate caused immense harm, loss of lives, broken families, so utilitarianism rejects it. Kantian ethics emphasizes treating people as ends in themselves, not as means. Manipulation violates dignity and autonomy, so Kantian ethics condemns cult behavior. Cultural relativism suggests we should respect different cultural beliefs, but this tolerance has limits when people are harmed. Virtue ethics asks whether leaders show virtues like honesty or compassion. Applewhite's deception and control show a lack of virtue. Together, these stories demonstrate why cult behavior cannot be ethically justified. But even with all of that information, opposing views exist, so much that Heaven's Gate members join voluntarily, exercising freedom. They claim that personal freedom includes the right to make extreme choices. However, critics are that isolation, grooming, and pressure remove true freedom. Members were not exposed to alternative perspectives, making their consent questionable. This debate highlights the complexity of ethics. How do we balance respect for individual choice with protection against manipulation? A contemporary example is online radicalization, where people appear to choose but are influenced by algorithms and echo chambers. This shows the dilemma is still relevant today. Next, I'm going to talk about contemporary relevance. Although Heaven's Gate happened in 1997, the ethical questions it raised are still relevant today. In our modern world, we see similar patterns in online radicalization, conspiracy groups, and even certain social media communities. People are drawn in by promises of belonging, simple answers to complex problems, and charismatic leaders, just like Heaven's Gate. These groups often manipulate vulnerable individuals and limit their exposure to alternative perspectives. The ethical dilemmas remain. How do we balance respect for freedom of choice with responsibility to protect people from manipulation and harm? If someone chooses to join a harmful group online, is that truly free choice? Or is it shaped by algorithm and echo chambers? This leads us to a broader question for society. Should we intervene to protect individuals? Or should we respect their autonomy even if it leads to harm? I invite you to reflect: what role should governments, communities, or even technology companies play in preventing modern forms of cult-like manipulations? And finally, we got the evaluation and conclusion. In evaluating the argument, we see strength in showing how cults undermine free choice. A weakness is that more personal testimonies from survivors could make the case even stronger. Overall, most ethical theories reject cult behavior. Heaven's Gate demonstrates the devastating harm of manipulation and control, and why cults can be such dangerous. The conclusion is clear. Cult behavior cannot be ethically justified because it violates autonomy, dignity, and causes immense harm. So, do you think any ethical theory could ever justify cult behavior or not?